Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Wednesday to you. Taking another look here at Pepe, seeing what's going on. We're going to jump into some Elliott wave charts as well as 4-hour time frame, kind of seeing what's going on here in the overall sense of where we're at, right? Because it makes sense the price is pulled back to where it's at, but we also feel, at least I feel, that we're going to see a pretty big move here soon. I'll explain why. So be sure to watch through to the end. If you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love to teach people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. And obviously, if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a website where you can learn to become a better trader. I have an academy, community, and signals. We have day trades coming soon, within the next week or two, and we'll also have some swing trades and all 3 profit targets we achieved here in the last 24 hours for our last 3 swing trade shorts. Okay, so again, shorts are kind of winning right now for the most part because the price is coming down for Bitcoin. A lot of reasons why, but if you're not part of our Twitter, be sure to follow, like, retweet, the whole 9 yards. Really appreciate the support there. We're trying to grow that. Also make sure to enable alerts so you can be notified of any type of critical updates and just important fundamental and technical data. We also have a live stream here in just a couple of hours where we're going to be watching the Fed meeting together, just kind of learning and growing. That's kind of the whole point, right? So check that out in your own time. All right, so Pepe, what are we going to do here next? Well, we're going to see what's going to happen. Ultimately, we are below the 20-day set moving average, so this is something that's kind of important to recognize. It's kind of a trend setter. A lot of times the 20-day SMA is kind of the first trend you want to make sure to stay above in order to continue to make higher highs and higher lows. It was trying that yesterday, but failed, dropped way down, and then of course came down to this newest level at about 83. You could round up and just say about 84,000 or 84K. Okay, now this line here, this blue line, is essentially the previous high, which on the hourly you can see that reflected with our Elliott wave. We'll see that in a minute. But the bottom line here is that this is a support level, and outside of that we have other supports, of course, down to about 44.5. Now I don't think we're going to come down that low, of course, but anything can happen in cryptocurrency. You want to be prepared for it. So just bear in mind that could be a potential reality. But note that based on volume here, we got, again, tremendous amount of volume below this price point. We're still in price discovery, for lack of better terms here, at this upper range. Okay, so try not to FOMO in too much, but again, this seems like a very juicy price target. Anything under 100K would seem realistic. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what I wanted to discuss here is a couple things. First of all, RSI, relative strength index, we got the support level here holding, but you can see the money flow index is low. In other words, over the last few 14 candlesticks, essentially, we are essentially seeing a lot lower price or less volume coming into this coin, more so going out. Obviously that happens when you're selling, but we want to have this money flow index to be higher than the RSI in most cases for us to be able to see that increase. Okay, so typically you want something like this, or of course where the RSI is lower than the money flow index, because what that basically tells us is you can't have an increase in price, of course, without volume. Price going up can occur without volume, but low volume will cause the price to turn around and continue to lower, which we're seeing right now. So that's kind of what's happening there. Good news is stochastic RSI is telling us we could see a bounce here soon, but keep in mind, you usually want to wait for the second bounce to occur. In other words, we could see the price go sideways, and then the stochastic comes sideways there, and when the stochastic RSI crosses up over 30, that's when you want to, or sorry, correction, 20. When it crosses up over 20, you want to consider taking a trade at that point. We're not there yet. So in other words, the bottom isn't necessarily in, but it could be. All right, so let's talk about that on the hourly. And just to quickly note before we look at that, you can see, of course, here as well that the moving average convergence divergence is diverging quite significantly. It's a very standard procedure based on how high the price came up. So just be mindful that if we lose 50 on the RSI on the 4-hour, it's a good chance we'll see further downside. So here's what I wanted to show you, and something I think is important for the Elliott wave and just understanding how it works. First of all, if you're new to Elliott wave, I use this pretty significantly or consistently. It's based on Fibonacci retracement levels, and it basically helps us understand different waves, right? We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the up pattern, basically establishing 3 higher highs and 2 higher lows. And then it's followed by 2 lower lows and a lower high. Okay, so typically the price will come down to retrace this one level or 0.618. Oftentimes, the price is already past that level, so we can see our bouncing point could be right here at this 78,000 mark, or 78K. Okay, once again, previous resistance level, no surprise that that's the case. Secondary level is 1.618, which would put us really close to that 45K mark. Okay, I don't think that's as likely. If we hold here, we'll be in good shape. If we don't, obviously different story. But the bottom line here is that we are seeing lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so you got to keep this in mind. Keeps on going down. And until that stops, we can't expect anything otherwise. Okay. Now the important thing is to recognize for trend reversals is higher lows. Okay. So as we can see, we've got 3 lower lows essentially here that are continuing to occur. If we start seeing a higher low here, for example, then that's the important thing. And it doesn't matter if you have parallel highs and higher lows. The important thing is the higher lows, so that way you can have that ascending wedge breakout pattern. Okay. Now, I don't know if that made sense in how I described that, but generally speaking, you want to be able to see higher lows first in order for the trend, the downtrend, to reverse itself. I guess that's the takeaway. We're not seeing that yet, so this next low has to make sure that it's higher than 85,000. Okay. So we'll see when we get there, but for the most part, we do have some bearish qualities here. We can see that the moving averages were below all three, but the 200 is right here at about 58K. So we do have that support level averaging itself up. Let's take a quick look at TD sequential and kind of see. We came down to a 7, got a reset up to a 3. So hypothetically, we could see another, 6 more hours of continuation of the upside. I think that's less likely based on the simple fact that we are rejecting quite consistently here at this resistance level. But you got to keep in mind, the more likely you test a level, the more likely you are to break it, right? So we could be seeing the beginning of an ascending wedge pattern and the price continues higher. That actually is a distinct possibility because we are 4 hours into this level and the price continues to make higher lows on smaller time frames. It's easier to see on the 15-minute, but generally speaking, if you look here, you can see that we are effectively making higher lows. And we're in pretty good shape there, and we're consistently retesting this level. That's that ascending wedge breakout that I'm referring to. So I think a breakout is on the horizon and is squeezing itself into a type of wedge. But once again, whether it breaks up or down is really up to this coin. Okay, if the market movers wants to push the price down, it'll come down lower, and that'll give us a better dollar cost average potential. Okay, keep that in mind. There is potential there. Once again, nothing set in stone. If we take a quick look at CC Golden here, we can see there's not really a whole heck of a lot of sell signals. Let's see if there's any buy signals here, because a lot of times it will give us some buy signals here. And see, what it's doing is giving us buy signal pretty much right before it drops every single time. And the reason why is because we're underneath these moving averages here, right? So the key takeaway here is that even though we're getting a good confirmation that the price is potentially going to increase based on volume, we're not getting confirmation based on moving averages, so it's best to wait. Okay, so I recommend just kind of holding tight here, dollar cost averaging if this is the coin you want to long-term invest in, because this is a better price point than it was yesterday. But on the same accord, it hasn't shown or proven itself to break this pattern, so we should expect it to continue to decrease in value. Okay, so again, this trend line is continuing. We'll just go ahead and pay attention to it and see what happens. But for lack of better terms here, I think we are due to see a potential bounce at about 78.5, and if so, that's a good point, probably more so to set an accurate target. So if you're going to set a limit order, put it at maybe 70, instead of 785, put it at 79 or 80, just to get filled, if you will. But that would be our first target there, based on, once again, these levels here for the Elliott wave, kind of showing us that we are essentially ensuring that we are having a lower lows. Okay, we got to get our first lower low in before we get our next lower high. All right. Okay, I hope that made sense and I described that correctly. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully this made sense. Quick favor before you go, if you could help us grow our Twitter community. We have awesome fundamental and technical data. Be sure to watch our live stream here in just a couple of hours if possible to ensure that you stay abreast on the FOMC updates here and just ensure that obviously you are staying, in the know. Enable notifications, help us grow this community, really greatly appreciate it. Again, if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link down below, we have a Trading Academy, Communities and Signals group. We just took healthy profits in the last 3 trade signals for all of our shorts here recently, but we closed those positions out in light of the FOMC coming up here. So be careful, a lot of volatility is coming here soon. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks again for your time.